and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed a fine lunch offered to you, of course, by the Nara government. We're really happy to have you back right here because we're going to start with the second part of this first day of our Congress today. So welcome back in Bruges. To our spectators at home, of course, welcome back for this second part. Once again, by the way, if you want to join the session in a different language, you can always change the language by just clicking the button in the bottom right of your screen. Coming up this afternoon, we will challenge the Sustainable Development Goals by launching the Gastronomy Tourism Pitch. But first, I would like to invite for us once again on stage, none other than the Secretary General of UNWTO. Please welcome back Mr. Zurab Polokashvili. Here you go. Really eager to know about your second insights. The stage is yours.
I want to thank you, Nara Prefecture, Japanese government, our Japanese friend, to hosting such wonderful lunch. Arigatou gozaimasu. I'm sure that in Nara we will have more time to have more experience about Japanese food and culture. Talking about African gastronomy, which is most important topic of this session, before I start my remarks, I want to promise 2 tickets, if you like football, for Real Madrid or Atletico de Madrid, and dinner with you in Madrid, any place you like, if someone from this hall will tell me 5 dishes, 5 African dishes. Please raise your hand. He or she has not to be African. Kojo, you can't participate there. Sandra, you neither. I need 1, 2 or 10 person who will tell me 5 dishes from 5 different countries from Africa. You have 10 seconds. Please don't be shy and tell me that I know, and please on the stage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are welcome, please come. No, don't use Google and don't use internet, please. Okay, so you see, it's a shame that we don't know nothing about African food. Nothing. Even it was motivated by me. Unfortunately, this is reality. And we're talking about one of the biggest continents in the world, one of the biggest cultures in the world, and unfortunately, we don't know nothing about gastronomy, why we are here, by the way. We came for gastronomy forum. We knew that it will be about African gastronomy, and I want to welcome our African friends, chefs, who came here to promote, and this is the beginning of big journey about African gastronomy from UNWTO. So, and we really want to build and brand Africa like a green continent, like a wonderful continent. Africa is green, Africa is colorful, Africa is full of life and full of experiences we want all to share. So jobs, it's another problem we all have, and we want to promote and to support gastronomy again. Why? Because in tourism and gastronomy is the best way to create, fastest way to create new jobs which continent needs. Early this year, we launched the recipe book, a tour of African gastronomy. I think I'm a winner of competition I created now, 2 minutes ago, and I'm very proud, and I want to thank Sandra Carvalho, Elsia, the director for Africa, who is not with us, and all African ministries who participated. This is the first book we issued regarding African gastronomy, and you can have here around, I don't remember, 38 or 40 different recipes. It's a very general book, but the first step, we are going in detail to create country by country books about gastronomy. But thought the gastronomy may be the diverse. The benefits of tourism are the same wherever they are left. Gastronomy tourism can be a powerful tool for social economic development and inclusion, especially through of rural communities for women and youth. This is another topic where we will be very focused, and we will work very close with member states to approach youth and women and to increase rural women in tourism sector. Next year we are going to have first youth summit. We want kids to be with us to tell them that working in tourism is prestigious. Again, people who are working in gastronomy, they're artists. And we all remember, and we will all remind all our experiences regarding gastronomy when we are traveling. And of course, gastronomy can be a powerful tool for socio-economic development and inclusion, especially through the rural communities for women and youth, as we mentioned. And this power was further highlighted with the month of African gastronomic health by UNWTO in last May. Here we brought together 25 chefs and marketing professionals to explore the best way for promoting African gastronomy in the world. And we will build on our progress here in Bruges as we sign a memorandum of understanding with chefs in Africa. Together we will promote knowledge and skills, foster innovation and sustainability, and advance in rural development. We are ready, and we will export innovation, digitalization, investments, education in African continent. This is our commitment, and next year we will be focused on it. And to close, I wish to thank the chefs who join us today. Thank you to Chef Binta in her work at Fulani Kitchen. She combines her Fulani roots, her classical training and love for rural life and farming. Thank you, dear Chef Malonga, founder of Chefs in Africa, and who is helping to write a new story for gastronomy. This is a new story of gastronomy, really, because all of us, Europeans, Asians, we are ready to support, to modernize African gastronomy. Jose Mari, he is fully committed to supporting trainings to modernize African gastronomy, to make more trendy and more known. And I look forward to working with you all to grow gastronomy tourism as realize its potential and as a pillar of opportunity. Again, I'm very patient. It's our new project, new baby, to support and to make African gastronomy known. I remember when I was a child, I didn't know nothing about. I'm from Georgia, from very close country at that time. It's a country from USSR, and I did not know nothing about Japanese gastronomy. When I tried first time sushi, for me it was something like to eat something very weird, but today I'm one of the bigger fan. Like you were, I'm sure that in your countries it was the same, more or less, in several countries before, in some of them after. But this is how gastronomy is becoming trendy and known, and gastronomy is the best ambassador of any country. So I'm sure that you agree with me, and I really think that African gastronomy will be the future of our experiences, future of our knowledge about food, different kind of food, and we are here and we are committed to support them, to promote and to make it happen. Thank you very much, and have a nice working session today.
Yes, why not? Right, ladies and gentlemen, the table is set. I think we're ready to dig in, and that's why I would like to introduce our next keynote speaker. He is founder of Chefs in Africa and finalist of the Basque Culinary World Prize. On the other hand, he calls himself a young gourmet chef, and his specialty is Afro-fusion cuisine. All the way from Rwanda, please welcome Mr. Dieuville Malonga.
We see a world of change and motion. We believe food has a power to have a positive impact on people's life. We commit to promote African gastronomy. Bonjour, my name is Dieuville Malonga. I'm from Congo, but I live in Rwanda. I'm a chef. My food identity is Afro-fusion cuisine. Afro-fusion cuisine is a bridge between African traditional cuisine and modern cuisine. 5 years ago, we created Chefs in Africa. The ambition is to connect chefs in African countries and also in a diaspora. Since 5 years, we are working with pharma in rural area to connect farmers with restaurants and also with chefs. And also we talk about the problem, a challenge they have. We talk about the new technology of farming, and also we share new seed from different countries. We are doing scientific work to connect and collect data from ingredients, and also to share it with chefs, restaurants, and also the chefs from different countries. Market and rural area are our source of getting information. Since 5 years, we are working in different countries in Africa. I'm talking about 54 countries. We have now visited more than 41 countries. The ambition is like to go to learn by grandmother, because grandmother is the best recipe. And not only recipe, but story beyond. Because when we talk about food, we talk about sharing and education. Last year, we opened our first restaurant in Rwanda, in Kigali, and also our first culinary center. We are training more than 15 chefs from different countries in Africa. Diverse and rich culinary heritage in Africa. We have also some challenge sometimes. The first one is like, there's cliché on African cuisine and restaurant, training of talent on African gastronomy, accessibility of information on African food experience. In Chef in Africa platform, we are now more than 4,000 members. 75% are chefs, and so 25% are farmers and also people who work in gastronomy and hospitality. We are working on some solutions. Bring together chefs from African continent and the diaspora, local craftsmanship to write a new narrative. Educate and put the talent from the continent at the forefront of global culinary revolutions. and also representing Africa's gastronomic destination through authentic storytelling. Our training system in Rwanda, we are focusing more on Pan-African cuisine. The ambition is like to teach and promote the big chef of tomorrow. Our future project is Vision 2023, Musanze, a culinary destination. So we have an amazing land, is more than 4 hectares in Musanze. Musanze located in northern province from Rwanda. Next year, in June, we will start the construction. We will build our first culinary innovation village. In Culinary Innovation Village, we will have a culinary center, like we want to construct our dream culinary center to train more than 100 young chefs of tomorrow. We also will have a gastronomic restaurant to invite the world to taste Africa gastronomy. I love this region, Musanze, because we have amazing ecosystem. We have a lake, and also the soil is very fertile because it's like volcanic area. And in the village, we build our village innovation center. We have more than 300 people that live there, and now we are working with 100 people that live in the village. Because our farm is exactly in Musanze, the farm we source our ingredients from the restaurant we have in Kigali. So, we invite you to visit Africa, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malunga, for your insights. And as you can see, Mr. Malunga is staying with us on the stage. Excellent job, by the way. Very well done. It was really interesting. And of course, you will join us now to have another debate. So, to host this one, I would like to invite the founder of Fulani Kitchen Foundation, executive chef of Dine on a Mat, which is Mrs. Fatamata Binta, and to lead the debate, the general manager of the Basque Culinary Center, Mr. Jose. Please come with us. Round of applause. Debate away.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited for this dialogue. Thank you, Jovil, for this presentation. As we talked in the morning, gastronomy is more diverse than ever, no? And it means also geographically, no? Probably in the past, no? France, Spain, or even now the Nordic countries,
exactly,
and Latin America. So the interest and the hot places in gastronomy have been shifting, no? During the years, and now we have the moment to share what's going on in Africa, no? And I think it's so much to learn, so much to understand, so much to share. So I think like an introduction of this panel, as we have listened Malonga's projects and vision of the future, Chef Binta, also you have been working, and we will go in depth in your work in the next minutes, but it will be great if you can, like a beginning, you can share with us the work you have been doing in these last years, and then we walk in the conversation.
Awesome, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really happy and honored to be here. My name is Binta. I'm from Sierra Leone, but I'm based in Accra, Ghana. and I'm a chef. I come from the largest nomadic tribe in Africa. They are called the Fulanis. They are nomadic people. They move from one place to another. You find them within West and Central Africa. And their lifestyle has a huge influence in their cuisine and everything else they do. So 4 years ago, I quit my hotel job and I started traveling across Africa. I visit all these communities, cook with the locals, document recipes, and then I go back to Accra, Ghana, and I host nomadic dinners inspired by all these places within Africa. So our main goal really is to promote food and preserve culture by telling stories and also documenting a lot. And one lesson I learned is during all my traveling, I was always on the go, come back to Accra, host dinners, and that's it. And then COVID happened, and that was really challenging for me because I had to stop, I had to pause and just reflect. And during that time I was traveling, I was working with an NGO because also, even though we are the largest nomadic tribe, we have so many other issues we deal with because we are cattlemen. We rear cattle for living. And we are fighting in Africa with the farmers because most times the cattle will invade the farms, and that has caused a lot of issues. So I was also serving as a peace ambassador. I'll go to these communities, we host peace dinners. I act as a mediator because I'm fluent in the language, talk to the people, and we resolve so many issues. So one time I visited one of these communities and we were hosting these peace dinners, and one of the ladies whispered to me. She was like, "We want to grow fonio, but we are not allowed to own lands." And that stuck with me. I remember leaving that village and I was thinking about that a lot, but I never really took time to go back. So after the COVID hit and then we were off the lockdown, I decided to drive down to the rural area just to spend a day with these people. And I learned so much, invaluable lessons. That culture, rural areas, there's so much to be developed there. When you connect with people, what you can learn is actually priceless. So once that happened, and then I was approached by IE Business School Center, the African Center, that they wanted to do a case study on Fulani kitchen for post-COVID. So while I was having those Zoom sessions with the students, they inspired me so much because that was before the foundation. Every session, they would come up with solutions, and I was like, I think it's time I actually start a foundation because if I've been serving as a peace ambassador, I've been working in agriculture, growing fonio with women. I've been cooking and sharing a lot about ancient grains on my mats, which is a nomadic kitchen. Why not have an actual foundation? So Fulani Kitchen Foundation was born through that, and right now we are very new. We've decided to build a Fulani village because it's not just about telling the stories. I want to preserve the culture. So we got an acre in a place called Shai Hills in Ghana, where we're going to build the village, the actual village itself, where you can come in and learn everything you need to know about the Fulani people, but also inspire these people, because I believe if we are talking about rural development, African gastronomy, we really need to place value on what that means, and then we can scale it. So I'm looking forward to all the questions and how we can come up with a solution today. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Let me ask a couple of questions, because I understand you are entrepreneurs in a way, like pioneers in some activities, no? And Cheville Malonga, as probably you've been asked this question sometimes, no? Because you were educated in part of your life in Germany, so you know Germany, you've been working in France, and you have been connected with many things in gastronomy. Why you went back, and you came back to Rwanda and to dedicate your professional life or your life to develop new perspective of African gastronomy? And then we will go with other questions more.
I think the click was the food. I was living a long time in Europe, and something's missing. When I'm cooking in different restaurants, when I taste food, it's amazing, but something. Story starts with my grandmother. Because I've learned, I get the motivation to be a chef come from my grandmother. And also, since we start to travel around Africa, I remember we traveled together with Chef Binta, visit Kenya and Ghana. I start to taste many recipes, many ingredients, and also that motivated me to come back in the continent because we have huge and amazing food heritage and so ingredients. I think this is a motivation.
Thank you so much. And similar question, because I understood that, well, you have a background, your mother was connected with cooking, you studied international relations, and then you went into a culinary academy in Kenya. So what was how your passion about gastronomy started?
For me, it's the fondest memories I have of my childhood, and I know I can never go back to, because I come from a huge family, and I remember experiencing civil war in Sierra Leone for 2 years, and I was forced to leave Sierra Leone and go to my ancestral home, meaning where my family is from in Guinea-Conakry, and having like over 500 cousins living in this very small village, and food was our entertainment as a child, and then I was around 11, 12, and I watched my grandmother grow fonio. We fetch water from the stream by carrying it on our head, firewood, everything was done from scratch. And for me, that really shapes me as a chef, and I try every day to live those memories, because I know it's not possible again. Everybody has traveled outside, they are in UK, London. Nobody's going back to my village, and the village is falling apart. So my drive really is to relive those moments and to try also to preserve my culture, because I get so much inspiration from my culture. That's my drive.
Perfect, thank you so much. So let's go. It is a challenge. I mean, I feel a little bit uncomfortable talking about African gastronomy because we are talking about a continent, so it's huge and diverse realities. But I think both of you, because of your work with chefs in Africa and connecting so many young talent to professional possibilities, and you, Chef Binta, with the Fulani's work that at the end is 60 million people. I mean, Western, Central Africa. So we will try to give to the audience a perspective of what's going on and the challenges.
Yeah.
If I ask you, to give you a first general answer to a question, what's going on in African gastronomy? What is happening? What are the drivers of transformation happening nowadays in Africa? What would you answer to that question?
So, myself, I took time to understand about African cuisine, but I'm talking about plural, 54 countries. That's why I start to travel, to go to test. And we have many talented chefs, firstly, in the continent. We have many recipes. I can take an example from, in Ghana, all time. And we have a different of recipes and ingredients sometimes we can find nowhere.
Yeah.
So, we have many chefs now that are coming back from the diaspora, and also that are going to learn in different countries that are coming now to transform the ingredients we have, and also to write a recipe that we can share with the world. I think that is happening now, work in progress.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll add to what Malonga just said. I believe there's a revolution going on right now. It's African cuisine, and it's the next big thing to tap into. Already, I have chef friends in the industry who are non-Africans who are very curious about our ingredients, and I'm always happy to share. So I believe we have so much that hasn't been tapped into. People still haven't discovered African food and cuisine in general. And for us as chefs, I feel like we're responsible for that. We are at the forefront in telling all these stories, sharing all these stories, but most importantly, documenting these stories, because it's not just about us, it's about the generation that's going to come after us. So there's a revolution going on.
And what I want to add is we understand that for our generation, it's very important to go to learn by grandmother.
Yeah.
Because in 20 years, 30 years, our grandmother will not be there. And at the one, we have all this old recipe and story behind, because it's not only food, but it's many things, like a culture and also ecosystem. That's very important for our generation now. Because when we talk about food, is sharing and education.
Yeah.
Because I would like to think about the two perspectives, no? One is, I imagine that, as you were saying, first to document to this traditional knowledge how we make that explicit to share with future generations. And second, and probably we can talk about this, I think, I don't know what you think, because when we talk about African gastronomy, the countries don't help us to communicate what's going on, because at the end, if you think about how the borders of countries were made, well, we go a little bit into politics, but countries doesn't help very much to identify which are the regions of African gastronomy, which would be like the different cultures and regions in Africa talking about gastronomy.
So it's actually an important thing you just said, and one thing I believe for us as chefs in Africa, and it's really important to highlight that, because most times when you say Africa, people just think it's one country. We have 54 countries, and we have different tribes. Only Nigeria alone, we have over 100 tribes. And all that 100 tribes, they have different cuisine, they have different traditions. So it's really important to highlight that. And one way I would say is to also educate the locals, place value, teach them how to place value on what they have already, and then we can scale it. Because one thing COVID did for me was it allowed me to really explore Ghana. I lived in Ghana for 10 years. I never got time. I never made the time, because I believe you need to make time. I never did because I was so busy. But during that time, I started visiting different places. And I was blown. I didn't know we had all these gems in Ghana. So as locals, we ourselves, we need to value what we have first before we can sell it to anyone else. And that's how you develop a community. That's how you develop a community. You have to place value, appreciate it, and then you can allow other people also explore it.
Malonga, you talked in your presentation about the grandmother school. Can you talk to us? Because I think it's connected with this that Chef Bintat said.
So, for me, I like to eat traditional food, even all the time. When I'm here in Europe, sometimes I bring my food with me. The place, for me, I understand, the place can get the original recipe is to go to learn by grandmother.
Yeah.
Because most of grandmother, they use local product. And also, I learn story behind, because in many tribes in Africa, they have a ceremony, and my grandmother told me in our village we don't eat, but we celebrate food. In my family and my village, we celebrate food. It's all of these skills I learned from the grandmother. I think grandmother school is the best now for us, for our generation, because we need all the skills.
Yeah.
And how do you imagine developing this school? I mean, recording or for grandmothers or connecting them with young students? Or how do you imagine?
Yes. What we do, we start already, we travel in different countries with our student. We was in Cameroon, we was in Kenya with Chef Binta, and also in Ghana, and we spend time to learn traditional cuisine. And after, when we come in our laboratory in Rwanda, we try to not to mix, like to find a way how we can share this grandmother cuisine with the world, because we need, like with grandmother, we cook with, I can say with wood, but in a restaurant, cannot use wood. And that's how to transmit all of this recipe from grandmother and to share with our customer in the restaurant and also with the world. That's the work we're doing now in Rwanda with the Culinary Center.
I imagine that you are a visionary. You are thinking about how you can, expand
exactly.
this idea, to gather in this knowledge of grandmothers.
Yes, that's the ambition of 2023.
And one thing also, I believe, as Africans, or when you talk about development of rural areas or promoting tourism, we should start thinking along the line like food safaris, collaborating with travel companies, because that's how, you share it. Apart from scaling and really placing value, but we need to start collaborating more. Share it with the world as much as possible.
So let's go for that. How you see the future connecting tourism and this development of gastronomy that we are talking about? How do you imagine, what is the interaction? How is the dialogue? How do you see that?
It's building up slowly but surely. And I feel like for that to happen, the most important things like agriculture, we need to focus on, because as chefs, we really need to bring farmers along our journey. But also skills is very important for these rural areas. Most times they don't even know what they have, they are just sitting on it. But having people like, Chef Malonga, different people, go there, spend time with them, motivate them, and tell these stories and encourage people. That's one way also. That's why, and also another thing, initiatives like platforms that have created spaces for this. I think they need support to do that, because it's not easy, to start that groundwork. So all initiatives that are existing already, it's important to partner with those people and tell the stories. It's all about empowerment for it to grow.
I think in our restaurant, we have people that are coming from Copenhagen. Over last week, we have a group, I think it was 5, they come from Peru. It's like the revolution is starting now. People are starting to go to learn new things and also to taste new spices and also recipes.
And coming back, the work you are doing, Fatmata, the Fulani, 60 million of nomad people, and that they are moving through different. How is that, and how is their gastronomic culture? I mean, because I know it's a lot about fermented food and so on. And how is so let's talk us about that.
So it's a very interesting culture, and everything is centered around our lifestyle, because we are always on the go. Even our ingredients are sun-dried because we are preparing for the next migration. We don't stay in one place, and that's because our lifestyle is focused on our cattle as a business. When you meet a Fulani person, you value their wealth by how many cows they have. So we are very big on that, and it changes. As much as we are a lot of people and we travel, so for example, if they come to Ghana, the language will change a bit, and the food also, it kind of like it's a fusion as we go. And I've really tried to document that a lot, because you say Fulani is very broad, but we are one people, but we are different also. And our lifestyle is very sustainable. I really believe that the world can learn so much from the Fulani tribe. If we are thinking sustainability right now, we are talking a lot about sustainability. These are minimalist people. They don't take too much. They live very minimal. And a lot of that is reflecting on our lifestyle. Even for like cattle, there's a misconception. Most times people think because we rear cattle, we eat meat a lot. We don't. We feed on offals. When we slaughter, we sell to the local, and then we keep the offals, which will sun dry. And the tradition is very beautiful. One thing we also share on my nomadic kitchen, because that's a way for us to preserve the culture. And I noticed that if you, like growing up in a Fulani home, and now observing how the world is moving so fast, everybody's doing grab and go. There is no time for people to really sit, and dine and look the next person in the eye and reflect and get to know who you're living with. So it was very important for me to start highlighting that, because that's a way also to change the mindset of people. In Ghana, when I first came, most times people believe that grabbing a bucket of KFC is the luxurious way of eating. But no, how about local food? Spending time and enjoying a meal with people on the floor, sitting together. Like in the Fulani community, we believe that when you sit on the floor, that's how you build this social structure of the family. And also even your posture, we believe that when you sit up, you're eating with the next person, you're holding the bowl, you're also creating a good posture for yourself. So all these traditions, we really try to embrace them and share them with the world. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And you, Jevil, you are from Congo, Rwanda. What is the food culture that is your food culture?
So my food culture is, I call it Bantu culture. Bantu is, you find it in Angola, in Gabon, in both Congo, Brazzaville, and Democratic. And me, I was born in I'm from Bakongo. It's like I'm close to Congo DRC and to Angola. It's like I have all this Bantu culture, like food culture.
And there are some elements that we say representative of the Bantu culture.
So I was working on that since now 1 year. Like before was no country, was no countries. Like it was kingdom. Was no country. Country came just after. So we have more. It's like we don't eat a lot of meat. We have more vegetable because we have amazing climate, and we have the Congo River. It's like the second river in the world after Amazon. And all this along of Congo River, we have amazing forests that give us many vegetables and fruits. Like I say, like our cuisine, like Bantu cuisine, is more like vegetables, like and different. Sometimes we fish, but more vegetables. Yeah. And before, like meat was only for ceremony. And my grandfather ate like meat sometimes 2 or 4 times in 1 year. Yeah, that we have more like vegetable culture, food culture.
Okay. And are there like other strong food cultures that you could say that are like a good representation?
Yes.
Which one would be?
I would say West Africa.
West Africa.
Yes. West Africa, the food culture is very raw. I would say raw. It's unrefined. It hasn't been diluted. So yeah, the West African food culture is still strong. Because if you look at South Africa, I know a lot of chefs who are trying to bring back the food before the appetite because it's lost. But in West Africa, we still have it. Even though we are slowly moving away from it, that's why we are trying to preserve it. Because if you look at Africa right now, because East Africa, they have Indian influence and all that.
A lot of Indian.
Yeah. Whereas West Africa, only the Francophone countries, that's a little bit influenced by the French. So I would say West Africa.
And what I want to add is like now we have I think 2-star Michelin restaurant.
Exactly.
One based in London and another one based in Paris.
Yeah.
And they have I think West African food influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think West Africa cuisine is very strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, let's think in another perspective as you are thinking like with a vision for the future, no? And how you imagine this idea that promoting African gastronomy that you have, how you connect with actual tourism in resorts, or in how you make the chefs of that resorts introduce the local produce, recipes, traditions, how you are thinking on promoting that?
It's about challenging the food industry, the hospitality industry. In Ghana, we started it. We would create a box and we put key ingredients like superfoods, and I will send them to hotels, to the executive chefs, and I will challenge them, create something out of this. And these are ingredients that are indigenous to Africa. They've been around for over 7,000 years, but most people haven't explored them, or even when they do, it's only one way, like the old ways of just. For example, I'll give you something called prekese, which is a very interesting ingredient, and for the longest time, they've only used it to make soups, like one soup which is called banga soup. So we started sending these things out, things like fonio, which I'm very big on. It's an ancient grain.
I was going to ask you, because
Yes.
you have worked a lot on Fulani
Yes.
culture, but also on
Women.
fonio.
Yeah, so we grow fonio in the north of Ghana. I work with a company called Alanima, so we try to encourage women to grow fonio. So we most times pack a box, send all these ingredients, and they were like, create something and get back to us. I think that's one way. And also as chefs, adding that into our menu, storytelling, encourage people, because anyone that comes to your table or your mat, it's an opportunity for you to tell a story or change the mindset.
So with the chefs in Africa, the ambition is to educate, to learn more about our story. I'm talking about culinary heritage that we have in Africa, share with another chefs in African continent and also in the diaspora and the world. That's why we are building the big culinary center next year to welcome different chefs from different countries in Africa and also the world. That will be, I think, the key to promote African cuisine and to share.
Perfect. And can you share with us also, because at the end, what we have seen in other countries, that chefs many times have been like the transformation tool, and also they are part of a community, producers, fishermen, artisans, but what's the situation now in Africa? I mean, there is a movement of young chefs exploring, recovering or bringing the traditional gastronomy into a modern perspective. What's going on talking about new chefs or young chefs?
So what are happening now, we are using the new technology firstly to share information, and with farmers, we work more in the rural area, but because in the rural area we have now, I can say, most of the farmers, they don't use chemical product, and the soil is more like virgin, I can say, like this one. And but we are also working with scientific from different countries in the world to go to learn the new technology of farming. And with chefs, is also we are trying to organize conference in different countries, and the last we did was in Ghana, and the first was in Ivory Coast, to share that our challenge and find a solution. That's very important, that we try to find a solution of some problem we have in our food industry or also in tourism industry.
And is there, are you connected? There is a community there? You are working in a community perspective of chefs?
Yes, we work with many chefs, or what I can call it, ONG, or also chef movement. In Rwanda, in Tanzania, in Uganda, and also in Kenya, we work with cooperative. Like in East Africa, they have a system of cooperative. Then we have a data for 200 cooperative we work with. And in Ghana, we work with Chef Association. In Morocco, we work with Chef Association. Even in Egypt, we work with Chef Association. Like we have one embassy in every country that give us all information. And when we have information, then we share together with another chefs. That's how we share our journey with chefs.
Fantastic. Now we are finishing, and if you would think about an action plan for tomorrow to develop the potential of African gastronomy, what do you think that you would ask or you would need? No? Thinking about how you explode, promote all that potential.
I think we are now we are doing like work in the process. In the process, we are open to welcome the world in different countries.
Chefs from other countries to visit you.
Chefs and also farmers to come to learn to us, and we are so going to other countries to go to learn, because like when we talk about food is sharing and education. That's what I've learned from my grandmother.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's all about collaborations. For me, personally, with my team right now, we are trying to set up our Fulani village so that we can welcome. Because after I went to the Best Chef Awards, I realized so many chefs want to come to Africa.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I can't wait to build my test kitchen finish and invite everybody and do more exchange programs also with students, from universities, so that they can learn the culture. Because that's the only way you will preserve it anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure that our students at the Basque Culinary Center will love to go to Fulani village or your culinary village. So, no, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I think we have talked a lot, but at the end, just a little bit of the huge potential that there is in Africa, in different regions. Well, as Secretary General said, and I gather with that commitment, we are committed to promote, to help, and also because we think that will be great. Such a heritage that we can share with the world, that it will be amazing. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you so much.
And be strong. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
Thank you guys for this nice debate, and of course we would like to make this an official, memorable moment. As you can see, the table is installed. I would like to have our Secretary General to come with us as well, and we will now sign, of course, this memorandum of understanding between chefs in Africa and UNWTO to work on the promotion of African gastronomy. Of course, and food is to share. Welcome again. Welcome again. Please sign the treaty right now. Sign the memorandum.
Thank you.
Okay, let's make this an official moment.
Yeah,
Documents are being signed. Photographers are ready. A round of applause, please. Please address yourself to the photographer. This is always a very awkward moment. Smile, you're looking good. Excellent. Is everybody happy? All right.
Yes. Yes, amazing.
Congratulations and thank you. I'm sorry?
I'll take it with me.
Yes.
Super.
You can take it.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you, lads. Thank you.
Excellent. And thank you again. And on this behalf, we can continue, of course. I would like you to introduce somebody to you. He's not just your average butcher. It's somebody who does a lot of stuff, who's a great ambassador. Please have a look at the following video.
Tenone Ik heb eigenlijk van in het begin helemaal anders willen werken dan iedereen. Ik heb een tijd gezien dat er beenhouwers werkten dat het puur om centen ging. En om rendement, om volume. En voor mij was het belangrijk om op die kwaliteit te gaan werken. Dat je zoekt naar een dier die goed gekweekt is, de juiste voeding, geen stress, de natuur. En dat ik dan als slager eigenlijk daar verder met respect voor ga werken. Beenhouwer zijn, die ambacht, was eigenlijk een folklore aan het worden. En puur kopen en verkopen, dat kon ik niet. Ik wil iets zelf creëren. Als ik niet creatief kan zijn en dingen ontwikkelen, dan ben ik geen beenhouwer. Wat je vooral merkt is op het moment dat je investeert in een product en investeert in kwaliteit, dat je wordt geapprecieerd van je klanten. En die appreciatie, dat is de grootste drijfveer van alles. Je moet een slager zijn die je buurt welkom heet in je winkel. En veel sterrenchefs die opeens willen kopen. En als die matching er is en als die klik er is, dan heb ik enorm mooie projecten al kunnen doen met mensen. En nog altijd. Maar de basis voor mij blijft de ouderwetse beenhouwer zijn die in zijn winkel staat. Omdat ik dat ook graag doe. Ik ben Hendrik Dierdonk, ik ben beenhouwer, ik ben een boer, ik ben een chef geworden. Maar al die dingen heb ik ervoor gezorgd dat ik ook als beenhouwer enorm gegroeid ben.
To share his insights on meat, please welcome Hendrik Dierendonk.
Hello, everybody. So I want to thank you, Peter de Wilde and Visit Flanders for inviting me, because I'm always a bit surprised that I'm as a butcher an ambassador for my country. As a butcher, because I believe in what I do and I try to change the way how we work. And let's say I'm going to talk about 4 very important things, and that important things are going to, like, I have a small problem there, no problem. And we have 4 very important values, and that is craftsmanship, terroir, passion, and innovation. And I'll first of all talk about where it comes from. So let's say when I was 14 years old, I was working at home, and my parents, they had a butcher shop, and I had to work every day in the butcher shop at morning, and in the afternoon I went skateboarding. And you know, you have to know when you're 15 years old, you want to debone as fast as you can, and you want to go skateboarding, of course. And at night I came home, and my father, he put on all the bones on the table, and he said, Hendrik, you're going to clean up all those bones. He said, you're forgetting something. You have to have respect for what we do, for your craftsmanship. You have to have respect for the animal, because there's an animal that kills for it. And you have to have respect for the farmer that worked on it. And probably that's the biggest lesson I ever had in that time. I was 15 years old, I was angry, but it kept on, I kept on thinking about it. And what I saw is that how people eat meat, the future of eating meat is changing. And if I want to continue of doing my profession, a craftsmanship that I love so much, I have to evaluate and think how we're going to work to the future. So first of all, I'm going to talk about terroir. Terroir is about, for me, it's very important to know where an animal comes from. I have to know where it comes from, how the animal is treated, what it has eaten. And I do think that if we have good meat, we eat, it's like bread. When you have good meat, when good bread, you eat 1 slice of it. When you have industrial bread, you eat a whole bread and you're still hungry. With meat, it's the same. You're going to eat meat and less meat. We're going to eat less but better meat, and the quality is important for that. And I think that's still the values that my parents, they gave me. We have a small butcher shop at the Belgian coast, and our biggest competitors, they were the fish shops. People came from Brussels, they came to our hometown, and they went back to Brussels with bags full of fish. And my dad, he said, man, I have to search for the best meat, find that meat, so people would come to my shop. And I still know when I was 10 years old, 12 years old, we were sitting at the dinner table at night, and my father, he said, you have to know, there was a client, he came from De Panne. You have to know De Panne is the town next door of us. It's 5 kilometers. He was so proud that somebody drove 5 kilometers to come for meat. And that's still what we have to do. It starts as a butcher of finding the right meat, doing it treating it on the best way. As like I said, it's terroir. Terroir is the first part. It's where do we get the animal. how it's raised. I look at meat as I see wine or cheese. Because for the moment, you have to know we slaughter animals. They're about 5 to 6, 7 years old. They gave milk. And then we go mature them. And if you're going to look at meat as you look at a wine or a cheese, you're going to approach it totally differently. It's totally differently. Why? Because if you have the breed, you have a grape of the wine. You have the terroir, so what the animal eats. It's very important how the taste is. So the grape is only for me about 5% how the meat is going to taste. The rest is the food that's eaten. The climate is an animal a lot of outside or inside. It makes totally different. I see animals in wintertime that are inside here because it's too much rain. The meat is totally different from structure than in summertime. And if we're going to approach it like that, I'm going to approach my craftsmanship as somebody that makes wine. As I see when I talked about 10 years ago, eating less meat but better meat, everybody in the industry said, Hendrik, you're crazy. You're killing what we do. And I think we just should invest in better quality and how we do it. So for me, it's not about the cow, it's about the how. It's how do we approach meat and how do we treat it. So as a kid, I was in that shop, and every day we were working on that meat. And we saw that an animal that had stress, you could not mature the meat. Because an animal that had stress is like when you go sporting and you go running for a half a day, your muscles, they're crystallized, they're stressed. And when you have an animal that is stressed, you will see that the animal, when the meat comes in, we have all water and humidity on the floor in the fridge. So for us, we already see at the meat when it comes in. Of course, we buy a lot of live stock also, live animals at the farmers. But we first of all see that it comes in, that if this animal had stress, yes or no. Sometimes we can smell what the animal ate when the meat comes in. I can say this is meat from Flanders, this meat is from Scotland. After some time we can smell where the animal comes from. And that's so important for me because the future is that we are working with farmers. Everything in life is for me is a matching. I buy meat to farmers that I understand, and I sell my meat to people that understand. I have chefs coming over, and big chefs, they're coming over and I already say, maybe it's better that we don't work together. It isn't about big chefs or small chefs, it's about who understands the philosophy, how we want to work. And craftsmanship, terroir, and passion, so these are my values, how I work, and innovation has become with that. So I was thinking, if I want to continue how I work, so who is my customer of the future? Because that customer of the future, he eats less meat, he wants authenticity, he wants quality, he wants durability, he wants all those values that's so important. You know, when I have people coming to my shop and they're the age of my parents, let's say, you have to know they are like, they always know what they want to eat. If they want a piece of filet, they come to the shop and they say, I want a piece of filet or sirloin. And if you don't have it in the shop, they go away. I see in my shop in Brussels where there's a lot of young people. Those young people, they say, butcher, what do I have to eat today? So they're very open. They can buy everything online, but they come to my shop and they ask me what they have to eat today. So I think maybe we have to look a little bit back to evaluate how we work as a butcher. And that's how I thought about it. This new generation that's looking for its authentic tastes, and that's the values, and he's importing it. I really think we should believe in those young people, how we work and how we do it. So if I see how we work for who my client is, I was thinking, where should I invest in? So we have the terroir, we have our own farm, we have the Flemish breed. We only have a small cattle of West Flemish beef because you will see, it's a very small cattle that we invest in. We have our Menapian pig that we invest in. We have our traditions. Of course, I want to use new techniques, but I stay honest with the old traditions, how we work. I don't want to, it's for me, the biggest challenge is to have ambition, to evaluate and stay honest to the philosophy, how we want to work. at a certain moment, we all make, we discover new ways of working, and sometimes we have to go back again to work to the future. And passion, I always say, everything I do can be copied, but the passion is who I am, and that is what I try to show to the people around me. We all can copy and we all can buy everything, but passion is key in what I do. It's what I love to do. So the West Flemish beef is really an old animal from here. It's a cattle that we only had about 300 pure blood animals anymore. You have to know this animal, it was not interesting for why it was not interesting, but it didn't have enough meat, it was not heavy enough, and it did not give enough milk. So it disappeared a little bit. And that all came because we started changing the meat, how we treat it, or how we finish up our animals. At the end of the 60s, there was the possibility to choose the animals that gave a lot of beef. You could select them. And the animals that gave a lot of milk, you could select them also. And I think it's a very, very big mistake that we made at that time, because we see that an animal that gives milk, the double-use cow, has much more flavor. And maturing meat is now, again, a big hype, but you have to know, my father, he killed one animal a month in wintertime, and there were no tourists, there were no people at the Belgian coast, and he only slaughtered one animal a month. And those double-use cows that used for milk and meat, they have a nice layer of fat. The structure is not so tender, so what did they do? We let it hang, we let it mature, to get more tender. That was the basic thing. You don't get good meat from maturing it. The basic is that you start with good meat and you mature it to get tender. And that West Flemish cow was almost disappeared. Now we have a cattle again of about 3,000, together with a lot of chefs, with the farmers that helped us. We have a cattle of 3,000. That's very small, but it's let's say, for me, it's a never-ending story. It's a work in progress for the future, how we want to work. So, as I said before, we only have this small cattle of animals. We try to select our meat all over Europe. I don't have enough meat here, and I see that I have to go to France, where there's more land to have animals. So for me, it's important, as we have in our restaurant also, people come to the restaurant and we talk about the cheese and the wine, and we let people taste the meat. We always give about 3 different breeds, ages. We age an animal of 8 years old, you have to age it totally differently than an animal of 2 years old. So the structure is totally different, and for me that, let's say, is also a bit the innovation, how I want to work. I think there's still so much to discover, how we can mature our meat and the fermentation process that we work on. So we have about 5 butcher shops and a restaurant, and I have to say, as a butcher, I always said I'd never want a restaurant. But at a certain moment, I started up with tastings and workshops, and we saw those people. They came to us, and before we knew it, we have a real restaurant where people come from all over Belgium. And it's for me very important also to work. We don't give French fries. We don't give mayonnaise. In Belgium, it's a curse that you don't do that. So, but for me, it was very important to work with local vegetables and talk about the meat from nose to tail, because every piece of meat has to be respected from that animal. And for me also, there's a day I want to eat a stew. Some days I want to eat a steak. It's not every day the same, and we have to educate our client for the future, how we want to work or how we need to work. And the local vegetables that we give, we even have vegetarians come to the restaurant and say, we had a fantastic night. I once gave I was invited for a radio program, and the day after, somebody came to my shop and he said, I'm a vegetarian, but if I would eat meat, I would buy it to you. So for me, that's probably the biggest compliment that I can have, because we are going to change for the future and how we're going to work. So innovation is for me a big question, because let's say before, when there was not so many people, when my shop was smaller, I had a lot of time free. And when I had time free, I was thinking about innovation. There was 2.5 months in wintertime at the Belgian coast. There was nobody, and we had time to discover things. Now I see that I have to invest in free time to be more creative and to innovate. And we have to question ourselves every day how we're going to work to the future. And so we started up with that. You have to know, when I was grown up as a kid in the shop with my parents, we went into the refrigerator. My father, he worked with the West Flemish cows. There weren't a lot anymore, but that refrigerator had a certain smell. I really can remember it as a kid, because good food is for me a remembrance of it makes memories, good food. And when we had that beef from my father, they called utslach. As I said before, people came to the shop at the end of the month, and they asked for a piece of utslach. And utslach is dialect for old slaughtered. Not a lot of people know it. So what did we start to do? We select those meat from those older animals, and we do a fermentation process for about 8 weeks. And what is very important for me, after 8 weeks, the meat is tender, it has a very nice flavor, but it doesn't have the taste of too much maturing. People sometimes say it tastes like cheese. When I want cheese, I eat cheese, I don't eat meat. I really want to eat good meat. And that's for me very important. And how did we do that? So we mature our meat in 3 different stadiums, where we play with temperature, humidity, and ventilation all the time. So on a certain moment, every 2 hours, temperature change, humidity changes, ventilation. We use UV lamps, so temperature goes up until 12 degrees and goes back down. So we have created a fermentation process that is very, as I said before, I have created my own techniques for the future. And besides of that, we have to say also that the Menapian pig is also for us an innovation project. The Menapian pig was a pig that lived here in the year 0. And you have to know, now we buy here in Belgium, we buy a Pata Negra and Parma ham, and of course that's fantastic. But I thought it was so pity that Menapian pig that lived here in the year 0, we didn't have it anymore. So we found skeletons beneath the ground with archaeologists, and we have crossed all breeds again to have that same pig again. I have to know how it come. The first export product of Flanders, of the Menapier, was the ham of the Menapian pig, and was sea salt from the North Sea. So again, sometimes we have to go look it back to create something new, and that innovation is for me very important, as we have so much pigs in Belgium, that we could have an animal again. And for me, maybe it's for me a challenge to maybe export that ham again to Rome and to let it taste again next of the Parma ham. I think there's so many things to discover with how we work, an old breed that we can put back together, and how we gonna treat it and mature it is very important, because you have to know the challenge was when we had that pig, there was such a layer of fat, the hair. We weren't used to anymore of slaughtering an animal or treating or cutting up an animal like that. So for me, it's very important, if we want to keep on to our traditions, that we have work in a good environment to have. The challenge is for me, the good people that I have to educate for keeping my craftsmanship alive. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Bye.
Excellent work. Thank you, Mr. Dierendonk. Yes, beautiful insights on meat these days. He did an excellent job. We hope you are inspired, and we're ready to inspire some more. But for now, we're going to take a short coffee break, about 20 minutes, so we'll meet each other right here in 20 minutes. See you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We are back, and we are live, of course, to our spectators at home. Hello, hello, and welcome to you as well. So let's continue this inspirational journey with insights from a chef, because in these strange times of ever-changing society, and especially in this post-pandemic world, the ability to adapt and resilience defines how somebody will be able to conquer many challenges. I feel honored that I may now introduce to you the chef of Hisa Franco, the number 21 of the world's 50 best restaurants on the 2021 list, and UNWTO ambassador for gastronomy tourism. Ladies and gentlemen, your warmest welcome for Chef Anna Ros.
Thank you. Hi. How are you? So, we will have a small discussion. First of all, my name is Anna. I'm a chef of Hisa Franco in the western part of Slovenia. My story is pretty fun. I was never supposed to cook, but I'm cooking. Yeah, that's me. I never wear chef jackets, by the way. Rarely. Mostly I have my shirt. So first of all, just to let you know that Africa is also a big part of my heart. I actually, when I was 16, traveled to Ethiopia, Tanzania, and also later on to Zanzibar, where there was no tourism. And I fell in love with Africa that much that today my main course, you ask who knows anything about the African dishes, but my main course is actually injera, which is originally from Ethiopia and that part of Africa. We of course completely nostrified it using Slovenian flours like roasted buckwheat barley flour with barley malt, but the fermentation of the 1,000 whole bread is the same. And I honestly believe that traveling for chef is really important because it somehow changes your perspective on food. So, because I went to Africa and because I fell in love with Africa, I actually decided to study diplomacy. So when I finished high school, that was linguistic high school, I decided to study international science and diplomacy because I thought there is a lot of reasons we should be empathic in the world and we could do things in a good way, change things for better. But then what happened is I really studied diplomacy, and after my graduation and before taking my first job in Brussels at the European Union, I met my future husband. I fell deeply in love, and as a lot of women do, I didn't follow my head, which should be saying go to Brussels and take over your diplomatic career. But I remained in the valley, turned back to the valley, and starting dating that guy. They had a restaurant on the countryside, but honestly, I didn't have a clue about cooking, gastronomy. I was super strongly into sports as a child. I was in a national ski team, but also practically a professional dancer. So who has the time for cooking in these conditions? It's practically impossible. So my mother was actually preparing me super healthy meals when I got home and did my school from distance, needing to feed my body, but I never really understood food as an art, and I never dreamt to become a chef. But then that guy happened, and then, so there was a walk with my mother to the river, and she said, just a question, are you gonna start cooking? And I was like, no, I don't know how to cook. The fact is that I was growing up, and this is the second part of this discussion, in an environment that I'm talking about 20, 25 years ago, didn't have the roots and the traditions of fine dining, and we will finish with the discussion of the fine dining at the end. Because, during the time of the communism, we actually were somehow everybody was equal. Like you went to a restaurant and the food has always been the same. We lost aristocracy. Who is going to a fine dining table? Usually that was a food for aristocracy. On the countryside, as mine, the food is a fuel. So a farmer needs to eat that amount of calories to be able to eat. So of course, the shock for my parents, like a super good girl, I was amazing at school. I graduated super quickly with the highest notes. I speak 7 languages. Was like, is she gonna cook? And then, but I'm a rebellion. And my father didn't talk to me for seven months, so my grandmother had to jump in and said, you know, at the end, everybody has a right for his decision. Mine wasn't so rational as much. It was more like following the heart and being really in love. So how did that look like? I'm completely self-taught. I never did any gastronomic school. I don't belong to any gastronomic school. I'm very different. I never staged because at the moment I took over the kitchen of Hisha Franco, we never had money to close the restaurant, to say, and she's going to profile herself, and then she will come back, and then somehow things will, sorry, I forget about this, and then things will start happening. So what happened? I remained, my father started talking to me again, and then we needed to understand what to do with the place of his parents, which was practically needing a huge investment and a philosophy. And since I wasn't the youngest anymore and I studied and traveled, I understood that, you know, to speak in the name of your land is something that is really, really important. So I was pregnant. 4 months. We were broke because we invested, and I couldn't travel because I didn't have money. But also Kobarid and the Socha Valley, so far away from all, I would say so, from all the suppliers, that they would never come to supply us with the basic ingredients that somebody needs to cook. And this was the point where I started becoming, or where the story of Hisha Franco started becoming really strong and important. It was because I needed to start looking how to build my own food chain, because nobody was delivering us food. But I also didn't travel, which meant that I was not copy-pasting things that other chefs were doing, but I needed to start thinking from my heart, from my brain, from my environment. And then the third and most important thing, and maybe the most important really, is that by being self-taught, I had a freedom to decide what I want to do with the food. Of course, the learning process was horribly long, and I was for 10 years like not sleeping during the night because I was either studying or breastfeeding, because I had 2 children, one after the other, and then during the days I was working the whole time. You know, sometimes people say to me, what is actually the engine of your success? And I say, my fight to survive, because there was never a motivation for Anna to become best female chef in the world, or for Anna to bring Hisha Franco on the place 21 on the world, to have straight from 0 2 stars, or, you know, to speak for you now. Never, and believe me, never. Like, my focus was hard work, wanting to cook so good food that people would actually sit in the car and go. Today, Hisha Franco is actually having more than 100 faces, and my faces are my producers, my farmers, my foragers, people with gardens in our food chain. I employ 40 people. We are coming from all around the world, so people from all around the world decide to move to Hisha Franco, to Kobarid, living with cows and goats, if you want, no civilization, just to realize this dream and this project, which is very tough, because working the way we work, so close to the nature, we are not regional or kilometer zero. We are micro-regional, micro-local. We, like, all my farmers are like so close that if I step on the top of the mountain, I can see them. Working like that is not easy, because nature, you know, is a wild thing. Like, there is a moon going up, moon going down, there is a frost, there is, it's too hot, it's too dry, it didn't rain, there is also climate change. So we have to be very creative in the process of how we cook, how we create the menu. I don't know, the forager calls from the forest in the mid-October, when there should be full of mushroom, and he says, Jesus, the moon went down, the mushrooms are gone, and we have 5 courses out of 23 based on mushrooms. Imagine like my panic and my creative process on the back. But in all this time, I understood that what is really important is a teamwork. I have a team only in the kitchen, more than 20 people. My head chef is Colombian. My sous chef is from San Francisco, from California. And then I have people from Chile to the northern countries, to South Africa, to India, because I want to absorb their knowledge. And today, the dream menu of Hisha Franco is actually being completely focused on local ingredients, but dreaming about, traveling around the world. In the time we can't travel, using the idea of injera to eat with hands your main course. Can you imagine? Like, people are completely shocked in a 2 Michelin star restaurant, which is looking towards the third. You have to actually take your main course with your hands and eat it like that. And then I say lick your fingers, because that's really the best that can happen to you. Sorry, again. But now, in all this beautiful story, our last baby in the house is a mountain farm with 2 young people. She's French-Canadian, he's Italian, working 12 hectares on land on 900 meters, overlooking the Bay of Trieste on one side, and then the Alps and the Alpine world on the other. Everything is biodynamically grown. We don't even water the plants. But then the lockdown comes. Okay, and the second part of this speech is going to be about what this means, and I would like to maybe wake you up a little bit, because it's not about just speaking or strategies, but it's about real action. So Slovenia went to a lockdown in the mid-March 2020, and we practically remained closed until June 2021, for practically the whole time, except a few weeks in the summer of 2020, which of course, I employ 40 people, and I repeat, 40 people in the gastronomy today, where we are fighting for a good cook, for a good chef, for a good waiter, front of the house, because nobody wants to do that anymore. That is a big burden. So I first thought it's fun. We went into lockdown, and I was like, look, nobody goes home because we don't know when we are going to reopen again. Let's keep the discipline and the motivation. So we come to work every day, and then we do schooling. So my baker was doing 1 week of the bread baking, and then the week later the sommelier did a whole sommelier course for everyone. But then after 1 month, we still didn't have any information, and after 1 month, the farmers started calling. The schools were closed, kindergartens were closed, we were closed, bars were closed, trattorias were closed. And then I started realizing that this is becoming a big problem. We had, especially because I live in the countryside, so close to the farmers, that I know how important it is that there is a circulation of a product. And I'm pretty sure that whoever of you thinks over how you were behaving at that time, you understand that you didn't go to a shop every day, probably. You went once in 2 weeks, because everybody was saying that this is how it should be. You bought long-lasting milk, maybe not even the meat because it goes bad, or frozen meat, and as less fresh fruit as possible. But what happens with farmers then? They don't sell. So thousands and 10,000s of milk were thrown away. I'm talking about high mountain milk. I'm talking about the altitude where there is a pure nature in things. The ricotta, the cottage cheese was not sold. Whatever was fresh, lamps. Can you imagine? 1,000 lamps remained in the valley unsold because the restaurants were closed. But on the other side, the farmers, if they were not selling the lamps out, they couldn't milk the sheep to make the cheese, the cottage cheese. So the whole production was closed. And nobody was thinking about that. And there is where my problem with the government starts. So I'm someone who has a voice, and I'm someone who always speaks out for the right of, whether that can be gastronomy, whether that can be the right to know what's going to happen to you, the right to a farmer to know if somebody's going to help him. So I went into a complete trouble. Prime Minister was tweeting about me really bad things. And when I called the Minister of Agriculture privately, and I said, listen, the agriculture politics cannot be done in this moment from the office. can you please come and see what's going on? Because we are all going to a disaster. The Socha Valley is depending on tourism and it's depending on the agriculture. Both of them were like zeroed, but not only zeroed, we had no clue what is going to happen next, which is not the same in all the countries. But I'm not going to say that my country did things wrong, but surely not clearly or clear enough for us to understand. You know, the reservation system in the restaurant needs a few months to fill up. People need to buy plane tickets, or you need to know at least a kind of a communication with them. So the agriculture minister, an amazing woman, the only thing she could do to me, she said, you know what you can do is like look at the tender 7 through 120, 6 through 85, and I was like, but listen, I'm a chef, I don't know how to look at tenders, and by the way, and this is a message, this should be your work, not mine, I'm just a chef. So I don't know if the Minister of Agriculture is sending a chef to look at the tenders, how to save gastronomy or how to save the agriculture, this is sick. But it stayed there. So I called a friend who is a manager, young manager. He actually did the biggest business in Slovenia ever. He sold the company for a few billions. And I was like, Giga, what should I do? And I was like, Anna, the answer is in money. And I was like, but what does that mean? And he said, you need to practically turn this problem to business. And this is what happened. So what we did is, and this is the team part that starts, and we will also finish with that one, is that I had my team who was completely not motivated. You know, young people coming from all around the world trying to understand how to survive the indefinite time of being not working. You know, you play table tennis for one day, then maybe you make a small party, then you cry, then you smile, then you play table tennis again, then you maybe go for a run, do yoga, but then the next day you still miss your work. So we went on a field, all with us, with papers and pencils, and I was like, creative workshop. Let's see, what can we do with 10,000 liters of milk? What can we do with 5,000 kilos of cottage cheese? What can we do with 1,000 lamps? What can we do with the field of tomatoes that nobody's buying? And so we started working in different groups. And then Giga, my friend, connected me to the only Slovenian supermarket chain, which is called Tuš. And he said, you guys, you should start speaking now. So Tuš needed to have a new story because, you know, the super international supermarket chains like, I don't know, Lidl, Spar, went over them because that is just Slovenian money. And they needed rebranding. Well, I needed a partner in crime. I needed someone who can do all logistics for me and connect me to the industry where all the recipes could be done. And it happened. So what we did is, and no help with Ministry of Agriculture, I actually selected ingredients that were remaining in the nature. My team, we divided ourselves in groups and we were working, one was working on grains, the other one on milk, the other one on sour milk, on the cottage cheese, on the cheeses. And then the most difficult part, Tuš helped us find industries which could adapt our recipes. But this is such a difficult work. Do you know how shitty food we daily eat? The industry don't know how to process fresh food. So sometimes we needed 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, but even a year to develop a recipe. And we were really difficult. Like we wanted to control the food chain. So are you still buying by the farmer? And then until the recipe was as it was, from our side, cooked for 10 people only, realized on the scale of 10,000. And then you turn around the box of cottage cheese gnocchi and you see that there is a 70% of the content of the albumina mountain cottage cheese inside. We have on this moment 60 different products on the market. In a Slovenia which only has 2 million people, we sold, you will also see pictures of this project somewhere. We sold 600,000 products in a few months only. And what is the result of this story? And this is where I'm saying that strategy is one thing, but quick action is the other. And in a time of crisis, we all should know how to react. It's a 10 times win-win situation. We helped the farmers on the point that there was no more fresh cottage cheese on the market. We had to limit the production of cottage cheese gnocchi because we couldn't find anything anymore. Sour milk sold out. There was, and this is something that is really important, you know, for a bureaucrat, for a diplomat to understand. If you work in my sector, go and see outside what's going on. There need always to be a practical and sometimes even quick solution. But not only. We brought local Slovenian and traceable food to every Slovenian house. So I had so many messages from housewives, mothers, saying, my God, you saved my life. I don't have time to cook, but now I know if I go to buy your field pasta with, I don't know, ricotta, mint, and the candy tomatoes, I know my child is going to eat a healthy food. It's prepared in 5 minutes. And then by that, I support a Slovenian farmer, which by that actually didn't die. And then what happened at the end, the supermarket chain said no to their profit, so we didn't need to negotiate for the price of the farmers. Because farmers, you know, when there is no industrial production, it's no way things can be cheap. If the things are worked by hand, how can you negotiate with a farmer? So the food market chain said no to their profit. The profit that belonged to me by contract was shared in my team during the lockdown town, and now we are partners in crime in this project equally. I got my part as much as everybody gave this part, and this is how we survived the lockdown. So we actually, I don't know, there were months, people were getting plus 2,000 euros like this in the envelope, saying, thank you so much, you're doing an amazing job. We are continuing this project for at least 3 more years, and there is a lot of things to save outside. But this is where, and this is going to be a conclusion of my speech, I don't know how many minutes, but yeah, I'm too long, but don't worry. Because it's going to be something interesting. And you know, the restaurant is not about the chef. I say Ana Roche and Hisha Franco is actually my team and my farmers, my partners, so whoever Hisha Franco's quality depends on. And today we are talking so much about sustainability in the restaurant. We are talking about, I don't know, food waste and the way we select, you know, don't eat meat. Why shouldn't you eat meat? Who is going to produce so much vegetables? I'm really curious about. This is like things are going a little bit nonsense way sometimes. But nobody thinks about us. Gastronomy today, especially fine dining, is really like in danger. Like danger, if we have like leopards in Africa in danger, we are in danger. Why? Because we are hardly overworking. And we are. Like, I think a timetable of an average restaurant, especially kitchen, is from 14 to 18 hours per day. And if you ask me if that is right, I say to you no. And when I'm having briefing with my team, I'm always saying like, guys, please do not come at 7 in the morning. Come at 9, we'll manage. When I come for a coffee in the restaurant, everybody's inside. Nobody's listening to me because everybody's dedicated to the quality of the work we are delivering. So, a lot of restaurants started closing down. Look at the number of bistros that are coming up, and fine dining restaurants are actually disappearing. Or, on the other side, well, it's difficult for me to speak about it, but it's an important message. It's like we are more and more speaking about the restaurants that are closing. They're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 days per week, or even in Scandinavia, somewhere 3. It's not because we want to rest, but it's because we cannot do work in the amount of hours that is sustainable. So 2 weeks ago, I was in Switzerland cooking a 6-hand dinner with Chef Claire Smith, 3 Michelin stars from London, and Andreas Caminara, 3 Michelin stars from Switzerland. And, you know, after the dinner that we cooked, we sat at the table and we were like, how much does your menu cost? And I was like, my menu costs 225 euros. The food cost, because I really work with very local ingredients, is between 12 to 18%, which is very low, by the way, because there is no caviar, foie gras, or expensive things. We really base on what we get from our environment. But my labor cost is 60%. And with 60%, my work, people still overwork. And in fine dining, the restaurants never really get rich because you always need to bring the money back. And then Claire Smith said, but what should we do? Like, why should we all open new businesses just to sustain this beautiful art that is disappearing? So I said something that I will tell you now. So I said, you know what? I am going to the United Nations conference, and I should say that we should take care about fine dining and the beauty of it, so our grandchildren can one day understand what it means to enjoy the table, the way 150 years ago aristocracy has been. And we should declare the fine dining the World Heritage Site. That's it. Thank you. I'm sorry I'm 10 minutes late, but I have to explain you something that I actually said to my assistant. My timetable is so full in the last 2 months because everybody's trying to realize what they couldn't realize, like last year, 2 years ago. For some things you have contracts, you have to go, you have to do it. And then I said, you know what, I don't think it's sustainable, I'm going. And she was like, are you crazy? I was like, listen, honestly, if I cannot give a clear message that there is the action needed, not just discussion, but discussion always needs the action, then why should I speak to the people? I think it's senseless. And then she said, you know what, why don't you tell them what you just told me? That's why I'm here. 10 minutes too long, I'm sorry. See you.
Excellent work. Do you all agree? I believe you do. Excellent. It's obvious that she doesn't really play by the rules. She just doubled her time, but it was really worth it, wasn't it? Round of applause for Miss Ross. Yes, and we continue on this subject as well, the Sustainable Development Goals, and how can we scale them up while ensuring revenue, scale, and sustainability in tourism and food industry. That's a nice assignment. It's a perfect challenge for the UNWTO Global SDG Startup Competition selected participants who will pitch their ideas right now to you and the jury, showcasing their tourism and gastronomy-based solutions. Because you might know this, you might not know this, but right here in the backstage, as we speak, there are 5 or 6 people who are really stressed out because they're going to come into this concert hall, stand on this stage, and pitch their ideas to the jury. So please handle them with care. It's really important. To introduce the competition, I kindly invite the Chief of Innovation, Education, Investment to the stage. Please welcome Miss Natalia Bayona.
So, it's my pleasure to be here today with all of you, because of course, when it comes to innovation, when it comes to gastronomy, the Sustainable Development Goals are not only crucial, they are transversal in everything that we do inside the UNWTO. And as you know, tourism is the top employer of youth, tourism is the top employer of women. So today, we are here because, of course, I remembered Jose Mari 3.5 years ago when I joined for the first time the UNWTO, that we were dreaming about how to empower entrepreneurs, how to empower startups, how to give visibility to those entrepreneurs that were part of the change and that were leading a change for a more sustainable tourism. And of course, thank to Basque Culinary Center, thank to Globalia and Wakalua, the Innovation Hub, and thank to the power of the UNWTO Innovation Network, we created the first global startup competition focused on gastronomy. And of course, I have to say that after these 3 years, we have received more than 500 entrepreneurs from more than 84 countries. And when it comes to the finalists, we have seen finalists from all around the world, from Kenya, Thailand, Japan, Korea, Latin America, Sweden, etc. So it's my pleasure today, and another amazing thing is that 40% of those entrepreneurs has been leading the way with a woman that is a CEO or a woman that is a founder of those startups. And more than 78% of the gastronomy startups working with the UNWTO and with Basque Culinary Center, they are focused on social impact. So when it comes to accelerating the Agenda 2030 of the UN, it's really important to bring them, to empower them, and of course to give them visibility, because they are the ones changing the way we travel. So of course, I would like to jump now and to introduce the first startup that we'll pitch today. As you know, we have only 4 minutes, and I don't know if you have been seeing drones, if you have seen that, of course, transport and travel is changing the way. So this first startup that is from Sweden is Katla Aero, has developed a state-of-art drone and aircraft model which provides air mobility services for cargo, sensors, people, and of course to connect rural areas with cities. So with a big applause, let's introduce to Katla Aero.
Hi everyone. My name is Gustav Borgefalk. I am the CEO and co-founder of Katla Aero. And together with this team, based out of Sweden and also with partners, we are working on a new revolutionary technology that will change the aviation industry. So if we go 50 years back in time, 70 years back in time to the 50s, the jet engine completely changed the way that we travel. It laid the foundation for the modern tourism industry. It made the world smaller. And we know that over the next 15 to 20 years, that air travel is going to double. But how do we do this in a sustainable way? We also know that this is one of the biggest challenges that the tourism industry is facing today. I want to welcome you to the era of electric aviation. Electric aviation will do to local and to regional travel what the jet engine and jet aviation did to international and intercontinental travel. But it's not just about logging people around, driving cargo around. There is an additional layer that can add extra value as well in adding a sensor capacity from these aircrafts. And if you're living in a rural area, in Sweden where I'm from, roughly 24% of the population lives in the rural area. There aren't that many really good means of getting around. And compared to other types of transportation, eVTOL offers attractive properties that is more flexible than trains or aircraft, that is faster between 2 points than cars, and it's also much cheaper to operate than helicopters. And it can land and take off anywhere. So at Katla Aero, we develop state-of-the-art technology. We built an aircraft concept, a platform that we integrate with the best sensors on the market. We find software solutions, AI companies that develop algorithms that analyze the data that we collect. And we create a holistic solution that we provide to our clients that they in turn can put their name on and provide to the end user or constituents. So what about the gastronomy tourism industry? So sensors, for example, used on drones or on aircraft can be used for precision agriculture to identify trees on an individual level and label them with a GPS coordinate. In a few years, we will also see drone transportation, food deliveries that will enable restaurants to reach a wider market. And well, sometimes around 2025, 2026, we will see the first electric aircraft that will travel from hotels to airports and between points of interest. But the great upside of aviation as well is like when we automate this electric aviation, and once we can get rid of the pilot, so a pilot monitors, say, 10 to 15 drones, the cost of using electric aviation will fall dramatically. It has the same advantages financially as electric cars or electric lorries. That is way less complex technology that caters to, that enables new types of services. So we're currently raising a pre-seed round. We have signed our first clients. We have signed a first commercialization partner that has 1,400 points of sale in Scandinavia. We're looking for other commercialization partners, but most of all, we are looking for investors. We're looking for partner companies, organizations, perhaps regional development funds that wants to be with us on this journey to realize the electric era and to unleash the potential of electric aviation so that we will reach a sustainable air transportation system faster. Thank you so much for your attention, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you.
Thank you so much. So, our second startup is from Switzerland. The name of the startup is Kitro. And I don't know if you are concerned, but I am really concerned when it comes to waste management. And of course, when we work in the hospitality sector, when we work in hotels, when we work in restaurants, waste management is crucial. And thanks to the power of artificial intelligence, Kitro helps to employ this technology in order to be more sustainable. So with a big applause, let's welcome Kitro.
So, good afternoon. My name is Naomi, and I'm one of the co-founders of Kitro. At Kitro, we're simplifying food waste measurement for commercial kitchens. Every year, more than 1 billion tons of food is lost or wasted globally. Now let me put this into perspective for you. In the time that I'm going to stand on this stage, present the problem and our solution, the equivalent of 17 million meals will be lost or wasted. This is devastating. When we think of the social and environmental implications this has, it is unacceptable. This is what motivated Anastasia, the co-founder, and I to look at the hospitality industry. We worked in service and in kitchens, and we were the ones who had to throw away perfectly edible food every single day. In the hospitality industry, 20% of the food that is purchased in ends up being thrown away. This has significant financial repercussions and an enormous environmental impact. And this is what inspired us to create Kitro. At Kitro, we're harnessing the power of technology to automate the process of food waste measurement and monitoring. Our solution is comprised of 3 different components. So the first component is measuring the food waste, which we do with the hardware. Then we identify the food waste through image processing and machine learning algorithms. And lastly, we present the data on an analytics dashboard. So how does this look like live? In a second, I hope a video is going to play, and you're going to see the device in a live environment. So here you can see the trash bin on top of a scale. In a kitchen environment, they place their existing trash bin on top, and every time something's thrown into the trash bin, we're automatically capturing the image, the time, and the weight of what's being thrown away. Then with image processing and machine learning, we identify the different food items, and we present this information to the customer in the form of an analytics dashboard. They can know what food items they're throwing away, how much they're wasting, the main sources, and what actions they can take to reduce their food waste. We give them all the trends and insights they need to make data-driven decisions to reduce their edible food waste. We've done over 160 measurements working with restaurants, canteens, hotels, and medical centers to allow them to reduce their edible food waste by up to 60%. This has led to great profit margin increases, but more importantly, we've allowed them to reach their sustainability goals. Now, we see the need for a systematic way to measure and monitor food waste. We need to be able to compare one property to another, or even a country's performance to another. We offer our solution in the form of a SaaS model, where customers can purchase or lease our hardware and software solution for a price starting at 285 euros. We're a Swiss-based company, and we were founded in 2017. So far, we've generated over 1 million in revenues, and we have over 80 devices active. They're primarily in Switzerland, but we also have measurements in Germany, trials in Belgium, and in Australia. We're financially supported by the Swiss government, as well as phenomenal business angels. And I'm excited to say that in the coming weeks, we're going to announce our next financing opportunity within Kitro. So if you're interested in investing in food waste mitigation, please reach out to me after. We're a team of 13, blending hospitality and tech, coming from some of the top universities in Switzerland. We're further supported by a great advisory team from tech, academia, and the food industry. We've also received great support from the startup ecosystem that has really allowed us to accelerate Kitro's growth. At Kitro, we believe that what gets measured gets done. We need to quantify the problem of food waste. We need to start measuring. Otherwise, how will we say in 2030 that we've reached the SDG goals to have our food waste? Our goal at Kitro is to bring back the value of all food, so it's appreciated and not wasted. But this is just one solution. In order to achieve a circular economy, we need the shift of mindset of every individual. And so with that, I hope today one of your takeaways is the impact of food waste. But more importantly, I hope we all reflect on the actions we might be taking that are driving food waste, and we all start to think twice about the food that we throw away and about saving precious resources from landing in the bin. Thank you for your time and your attention.
So the next startup comes really from far away, from Latin America, from Mexico, and it's called Rutopia. And Rutopia is a startup that creates unique and local and sustainable experience in order to promote rural areas and, of course, to connect indigenous communities with tourism. So with a big applause, welcome Rutopia.
Hello, I am Sebastián, co-founder of Rutopia, the Mexican travel startup that is making rural tourism as easy to book as it is to book a train here in Belgium. This is Stella. She is from a town named Acasochitlan, a small rural village in Mexico. Now, she has to migrate every year with her siblings to sell flowers, crops, and the crafts that they produce, leaving her family behind and barely making enough income to make a living. Now, Stella, a couple of years ago, decided to launch an ecotourism project. She figured out that she could make an income by sharing the nature, the culture, and the local gastronomy that they have. She had everything to succeed, but she didn't receive any visitors. And in fact, this same problem happens to thousands of ecotourism projects in Mexico each year. They have everything to succeed, but they just don't receive visitors. And on the other hand, we have millions of travelers visiting Mexico each year, wanting to see these authentic experiences, but 80% of them stay in only 5 destinations. We're wasting such a huge potential. Mexico is one of the most biodiverse and culturally diverse countries in the whole world. We are much more than just pretty beaches. The main reason that these ecotourism projects are not reaching their full potential is because they sell isolated touristic services. A traveler will rarely go to a rural village just to do a hike in the jungle, or to stay at a homestay, or buy a local cooking class. At Rutopia, we solve this by articulating these isolated services into long vacation routes through Mexico. We work with indigenous villages and integrate their touristic offering with other services such as transportation, travel insurance, or remote safety, and whatever the traveler wants. How does it work in 3 simple steps? A traveler goes to rutopia.com and requests a trip to us. Then we use our technology to book and design their whole trip in record times so the traveler can just arrive and enjoy their trip. The result? Authentic, personalized, and seamless itineraries. The traveler can book a unique 10-day Rutopia experience as easy as they would book an all-inclusive in Cancun. We are transforming Mexico from being a mass tourism destination that leaves very little income for the local communities into a sustainable one, where most of the money generated directly impacts the families that live there. Throughout our journey, we have been able to sell more than 2,000 trips to 2,000 travelers and grown 60% per year. We now work in almost all of Mexico with more than 400 different local projects. We were recently certified as a B Corporation, and in 2019, we were awarded by the United Nations with our first major investment, with which we launched our technology platform last year. 2022 is a year of growing our partnerships to bring even more travelers to Mexico. Each time a traveler makes a trip with Rutopia, they are leaving an income for the local families. And when these local families receive an income by sharing the nature and the culture that they own, they have one more reason to conserve it. And also, they develop their own entrepreneurial skills. So today, Rutopia, we are looking for partners who can help us reach the growing market of travelers seeking authentic experiences. So please join us.
Well done. So the next startup is from Spain, and it's called Apadrina un Olivo. So basically, they promote rural development, they promote the oil culture in the rural Spain, and of course, they promote the opportunity to adopt an abandoned olive tree, and of course, visit their trees and give back to the community. So let's give a warm applause to Apadrina un Olivo.
Thank you. Well, before introducing our social entrepreneurship in a rural area, I would love to share with you this demographic picture of Spain, where we can find 10% of population dispersed in 70% of territory, and also 90% of population looking for space for living in our cities, also looking for real experience, real flavors, and real products. So let's come to the place where the magic happened, to our small villages. And there, what else we can find there? We can find 90% of our natural resources. These natural resources and these real products are giving us the opportunity to link urban with rural, products with values, responsible consumers with producer with purpose, also visual experience with real life. And Adopt an Olive Tree.org and Oliete, a small village in Spain, give us a good example of how to build up this social entrepreneur to fix population, save these products, save these natural resources. With this dramatic drop of the population, also raise up to 100,000 ancient olive trees abandoned. With this situation, we wanted to do something, so we did it. We designed an experience to enjoy being our superheroes. You can be our superhero, your kids, your company. And this is how we enjoy this virtuous circle. Because You can go to our site and select this tree, name it, follow up the evolution, taste it with these 2 liters of our extra virgin olive oil, share it, and of course, visit us. With this empowered community and this triple balance positive impact for our locals, we also have a powerful community around values, around emotions that really loves to be part of the solution and experience being change makers. This all together recover our natural resources, create products with purpose, and with this incomings, bring up to our table new stories and new flavors, a different way for new products that allow us to taste the roots of the flavors and give an opportunity to save all these communities. In these 7 years that we built up adoptsanolivetree.org, we already saved 15,000 olive trees with 6,000 community of supporters that also bring 3,000 visits to Oliete and make us the opportunity to be the bigger employer with more than 16% of employers at the village, which means fixing the population and fix the families and the village. So please join us and let's be together a better future for our village, exporting the model to other places and saving more flavors to bring to your tables. Please consider that our towns need us now. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, from Italy, the startup is called Faru. And once again, inside the UNWTO, as we are a team, of course, we have here the UNWTO Director for Europe, that is Alessandra. We have Sandra, that is, of course, the head behind all this amazing forum today. And of course, myself, regarding innovation, we were thinking that, of course, everything that we do has to be really aligned, not only on the Sustainable Development Goals, but also on the year of rural development that is this year for the UNWTO. So just to finalize the session of the pitching session, Faru is an amazing startup that comes and offers unique experiences in order to foster sustainability in Italy, cultural preservation, and of course, local economic growth. So let's give a warm applause to Faru just to end this session.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Teresa Agovino, and today I'm going to present you Faru, which is much more than my startup. It's my life mission. So let's start with a question. Do you think we can promote destination while supporting local small businesses? We think so, and I will try to explain how we are doing it. Let me start from 2 numbers that seems to have nothing in common with all this topic, but it's not like this. 70% of managers say that they will make more sustainable choices for their companies. Why this? Because 40% of consumers would like to buy products related on sustainability level. But right now, company has really few options to be sustainable. They can improve their process, they can donate to NGO, or they can compensate through reforestation. But none of these options are really engaging. This is why we created Faru experiences, 1 day or more day experiences for companies, sustainable experiences. Why it's a win-win-win strategy? Because company can carry on their CSR, corporate social responsibility, and of course, employees can be trained on field on sustainability topics. And last but not least, local business can be supported. Just to show you some of our experiences, social farming, house watching, barefooting, and of course we have also Faru accommodation. All these accommodation are run by local businesses. And for example, this is the last retreat that we have organized for a company, 16 people, 2 days inside a farmhouse, experiencing cooking lab and also forest bathing, and be trained on the Agenda 2030 and the Sustainable Development Goal, the 12. So, how does it work? We certified Faru travel partners. Companies choose their activities or accommodation. Employees or, in general, stakeholders can live the experiences. And of course, we can create a positive circle. Faru comes from far loop, a loop that brings us far. Of course, we use a sustainability standard based on 82 criteria split among environment, workers, suppliers, customer, and community. And we have created this standard based on 3 international certification models. And we are on our path to obtain an international recognition. Of course, we use technology to do all of this because the entire certification process is remote, and we use a blockchain and also gamification. Do we have market? Yes, we have. Our market values 50,000 euro, and an average CSR company budget is 240,000 euro every single year. We use a transactional model, so our markup is 30% on every single experience. And of course, we have some competitors, but none of this has its own standard, neither provide a certification for company. This certification is really important because company can put inside this sustainability report. This is Faru, this is us. As you can see, it's a company led by women, and we are working really hard to reach our break-even point in less than 3 years. Not only financial goal, but also social and environmental impact to create positive impact. Right now, we are in Italy, focused on B2B, but next year we are launching our platform and social community, and then we will expand to B2C in Spain and North Europe, and we will start internationalization. So that's our mission, turn tourism into a force for the global good. Are you ready to join the loop? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I would like to invite our leaders that has been making this possible. So, of course, our UNWTO Secretary General, Jose Mari, from Basque Culinary Center, and Leticia from Wakalua, who will give the award to the winner of the competition for the gastronomy tourism for this edition. So,
I will apologize to our guests to come like I am, because when we organized first startup competition, Natalia told me that they are coming all investors, all startup people. I put my tie, I came very serious, you know, and I saw all these people like me, like I am now, you know, and I didn't understand. And I asked you, why I'm in tie and all of these investors and all these billionaires are coming like this, you know. She told me that it's creative way to, and this is something new. I didn't understand. Okay, so I decided to come like it. So I'm another startup person.
Secretary General, you are the most young Secretary General of the UN system, so you need to lead by example. And of course, the winner for today is Kitro. So, Kitro, este se lo entregas, el certificado. Sí. So, Kitro, you're the winner of today.
I didn't mix. Thank you.
Now we would like to welcome all the participants to have a group photo with the Secretary General, Jose Mari, and Leticia from Wakalua, please. So let's welcome them with a big applause. How do you feel? Woo! So let's do it there, maybe. Switzerland. So let's do it there. Yeah, there, in the middle. So here for the Secretary General. Yes, here. Jose Mari, yes, Jean. The winner, here, in the middle. Italy, Sweden, so here. The session, as you know, the next year we have a strong challenge with the UNWTO team, and of course with Jose Mari and team, and of course with all of you and with Wakalua. So we would like to announce the next global startup competition that, of course, thanks to the power of the UNWTO, the winners will come to Japan to the next Gastronomy Forum. We will have the opportunity to accelerate their growth thanks to the partnership with Basque Culinary Center, so they will be accelerating their growth in the Basque headquarters in Spain. And of course, thanks to Wakalua, we will be able to mentor them and to help them grow. So just to finalize the session, here we go with the video.
Through gastronomy, we discover new worlds, flavors, and emotions. Experiences that are deepened thanks to tourism and multiplied through technology. Gastronomy tourism is a sector with big opportunities for development that stimulates entrepreneurship and innovation. The World Tourism Organization and Basque Culinary Center joined together to launch the global competition for gastronomy tourism startups. Gastronomy tourism has also proven key for creating jobs, driving rural development, and fostering global understanding. We seek innovation projects with a disruptive and open vision. Projects that are capable of revolutionizing the gastronomy tourism sector through different perspectives. New technologies, local impact, sustainability, and waste. The selected startups will receive United Nations World Tourism Organizations and top partners mentorship, support, access to the United Nations World Tourism Organization Innovation Network, investment, and scholarships opportunities. In this edition, you'll pitch your project at the 7th United Nations World Tourism Organization Gastronomy Tourism Forum in Japan. Access the facilities at Labe Digital Gastronomy Lab for 6 months, participate in the upcoming edition of Culinary Action, and take advantage of the advanced plan of the Goe Digital Community for 6 months, the first digital community within the 360-degree gastronomy sector. Take part and join before February 28th to help us build the future of gastronomy tourism.
I'm still here. Did you enjoy today? Was it inspirational? Yes. So we achieved our goals, which is excellent, of course. What a day it was. We started off this morning, and today, what have we learned? Sustainability is key, of course, and on the other hand, we might just make fine dining UNESCO World Heritage. Anyway, for our live guests here today, I have some practicalities. Tonight you will have the opportunity to discover Bruges, Bruges by night. And for the guests joining the Discovery Walk, we will meet at 8:30 p.m. local time at the Grand Place near the Jan Breidel statue. You'll notice there's one statue in the middle of the marketplace. You can always get some more information on how to get there at the information desk at the foyer. And looking forward to tomorrow, of course, we're going to kick off with different masterclasses on gastronomy, tourism, and rural development, taking place in Studio 1, the Kamer Muziekzaal, and of course right here in this concert hall. Clear signage will be provided so you'll know where you need to go. The masterclasses will start at 9 o'clock in the afternoon. Now you can join the culinary experience in and around Bruges and end the day with Bruges Unplugged. Yes, in a short minute I will take our online guests with a small tour backstage. That's a privilege that they have. I'm sorry, you don't get that. But anyway, enjoy the evening and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Hey, there you are. You've waited for a small tour backstage. Why not? Why don't you have a look at this? This is the other side of the concert hall. This is the view I have all day during this Congress. But just come with me. I'm going to take you just backstage. Because, as you know, for this broadcast, we are not doing this just by myself. We all have people here working. There's a whole team that is actually working very hard to make sure that this show is top-notch, and I think we can all agree that it's top-notch. This dude right here is Davey. He's sometimes a pain in the ass, but not always. He's always yelling at people and stuff like that. This right here is the chief. He can fire me if he wants. But anyway, as you can see, we have a whole team. Hey, team, say hi. Say hi to the camera, please. Just wave at them. Yeah, why not? Wave, wave. Yes, yes. See? They're very docile as well sometimes. Anyway, as promised, you had the small backstage view. This is how it works. This is the brain center right here. Don't forget that tomorrow evening we have an exclusive session of Bruges Unplugged live from the City Brewery with more inspiring guests and live music as well. Now, if you want to connect with other participants, you know that you can always start a circle. Just start and click amongst the online attendees and start your conversation with them. For now, I want to thank you for being with us. This was day 1. We're moving on to day 2. It was a pleasant day. Enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.